let's finish out the NFL conversation. We talked about the Bills. We talked about the sorry state of affairs in Cleveland. I do want to, and even though Manny was unable to join us today, I do want to talk about what's happening in Kansas City. But let's first start with your Minnesota Vikings. We were touching on that
Uh,
right before the break. So it looks like they've kind of cut bait, which the writing was on the wall when you bring in somebody a reclamation project like Kyler Murray, you're not
so I
doing
don't
it.
know. Yeah, I don't know if Murray's a reclamation project as much as it was the Cardinals decided that he wasn't going to bring them anywhere. He's a serviceable NFL quarterback. He's just not going to win you anything. Does
Well,
that make sense?
no, no, no,
Like
but
he's a starting quality quarterback in the NFL. But you wouldn't bring him in over somebody you thought was going to be the future of your franchise. So
yes,
once they
that's
brought him in, you knew JJ was done.
exactly. Yep. And now, he's kind of proving them right. But
Yeah, I mean,
right.
like he had a horrible game yesterday, inconsistent. He made a couple of good decisions and good throws, and then he made some really bad decisions and bad throws and got banged up.
Yeah. And look, besides the uneven play, that's been his thing, right? He just can't stay healthy. And
And
as we always say here on the Sports Spotlight, first step to participation is presence.
yeah, you got to be healthy. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters if you're not.
Yeah.
And it's harsh, right? Because you don't want to ding somebody for getting hurt. Sometimes you can't hurt it or help it. Though I would think that the Giants need to be having a long talk with Jackson Dart about
Hmm.
uh,
About
about that.
sliding, about stepping out of bounds,
Yeah,
about
you got to protect yourself, kid.
yeah,
Otherwise, he's gonna NFL is truly gonna stand there for not for long for him.
yeah. So are we thinking Kyler Murray starting and Carson Wentz your backup quarterback?
Yeah, I actually think that's going to be the case. I mean, Kevin O'Connell is making noise that it's JJ's second. No, I don't think so. I think it's if they have to, Wentz is going to be the guy who goes in the game.
Yeah. All right.
And
Sorry, man. I
yeah,
I, I know. I think you and I are in similar boats, not just because our favorite teams are both 0-4 all time in the Super Bowl. Um, so the Bills have Josh Allen, and I feel that every year they don't get it done, they don't lift the Lombardi at the end of the season, is a season wasted. And maybe to a slightly lesser degree because of the importance of the position, but you're in the same boat with Justin Jefferson having one of the greatest wide receivers on the roster and just year after year not getting it done. Either not having the right quarterback around, not having enough of an offense around. Darnold had a good year that um, 2 years
so
ago.
the Vikings have all the pieces in place to be a really good team offensively,
Hmm.
except a quarterback. They've got great, great wide receiver in Justin Jefferson, possibly the best in the league. And then you have
Definitely.
another good wide receiver who would start for almost probably every NFL team in Addison. Maybe the one at a lot of teams,
Yeah, except
right?
except maybe Cincinnati. Yeah, I think that's the only one that I think of the wide receiver two who might be better than Addison, but even that is debatable.
Yeah. And so you got two really, really good options at wide receiver. You've got two really good tackles. You have a serviceable interior of the line. You've got what looks like a pretty good rookie fullback to try to add some pizzazz to the running game. You've got a good play caller and the head coach. So you got the pieces there. I mean, look, and Darnold was 13-4 or 14-3 2 years ago. And Darnold, the Seahawks won that Super Bowl because of their defense, not because of Sam Darnold. Okay. And man, we'll see. I have a feeling that the Vikings are going to have to blow everything up before they're good. I think they're going to have one or two truly bad years sell off some assets by trading and build through the draft and try to see if they can't fix the quarterback position. Because absent the 1 year that Favre was so good for them, the Vikings haven't drafted a multi-year stud QB in a long time.
Yeah, I mean,
And they didn't draft Favre. He was a free agent, obviously,
Yep.
right?
Culpepper is probably
Culpepper was good for a few years,
Yep.
right? But he was never great. You know, he was thrown to this guy named Randy Moss.
He will make any quarterback look good.
You know, I mean, and
unless you're with the Raiders.
that's
Apparently,
the toughest thing about the Vikings. If you look, they're top 10 in wins since the Super Bowl era kicked off. They
Mhm.
got 4 Super Bowl losses, though those are in the distant past. They're never just awful, okay? But they're also, absent that year, 98, when they lost to the Falcons after their kicker missed his first field goal of the year in the NFC Championship
Gary
game.
Anderson. Oof.
Yeah. I mean, look, the Vikings were the best team in football.
They were
that year.
15-1.
Yeah, they were awesome. They would have trounced Denver.
Yeah, that was with Culpepper and Randy Moss at the top of their game, and then you still had who was the running back? Robert Smith.
I think that was Cunningham, wasn't it? Is their quarterback that year?
You're right. You're right.
But they were great.
Yeah,
you know, they were smoking everybody, and then they just lost in the NFC Championship game because they just had a gimme kick to go up 10 at the end of the game, and they missed.
Yep. So it's gonna sound like, and especially if Manny were here, he would say, "I'm trying to make excuses," because my team has been on the wrong end, and his team, the Chiefs, have kind of been lucky enough to have been on the positive end a couple of times. But this thing is so tenuous, so fragile, man. Trying to win any championship, but definitely the NFL championship, you have to have some breaks along the way. Everything has to go right, because, and maybe it's just that we remember those failures, the 15-1 Vikings missing that kick.
Oh yeah, look, that was a painful year because it was not too long after the cap had started. You knew that there's going to be ups and downs in the franchise. The Vikings had lost 4 Super Bowls. They really were the best team in the NFL that year.
Yep.
And they were honestly the best the year the Saints won too. If the Saints don't have Bountygate, Saints have still never won a Super Bowl.
Yep.
You know, like people forget that because everybody's all happy that Drew Brees and the Saints won a Super Bowl. I'm not.
Yeah, not how they got
cheated.
there.
You know, I give all sorts. I'll never pull for the Saints again in anything until the Vikings win at least 2 Super Bowls. And but those are the 2 shots in my lifetime. They were really good shots for the Vikings, and they just, you had a kicker miss who never misses, and then you've got your quarterback hurt because the defensive coordinators, paying people to hurt players on the other team.
Preaching to the choir, bro, when it comes to kicker miss who never misses.
Okay.
Wide right.
That was the Norwood kick. Was the first year I really kind of knew anything about football and paid attention the whole year.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just I wanted the Bills to win. I like the way they play. I love the Kagan offense.
Yeah.
It was the first team I really read about a lot, Yep. And, Kelly, Thurman Thomas,
Andre Reed, Bruce Smith, Shane Conlon, Darryl Talley. Oof.
Yeah, Darryl Talley was great. Spider-Man.
Yep. No, they had a Cornelius Bennett from Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean,
he was great.
That team is, to
not
me,
to open old wounds, right?
Well, but I think it's been long enough where I will often, it doesn't go anywhere, especially with the fans of winning franchises. But when I talk about it, that is one of the best collections of talent, offense and defense, that just every time something went wrong, right? That first year, it was the fact that they kept having to settle for field goals. And look, kudos to Bill Parcells and playing making that decision, because you've got your backup quarterback in Jeff Hostetler,
Yeah.
to just run, run, run. It didn't matter. I mean, he was getting OJ Anderson
Otis
was getting
Anderson,
three.
right?
Otis. I think he also went by OJ. His middle name was J something. So anyway, OJ Anderson, Otis Anderson. Uh, he was thoroughly outplayed by Thurman Thomas in that game, right? His average per run was in the threes, but credit to Bill Parcells, he kept running. It didn't matter, right? 3 yards doesn't matter. Run, because he knew the only
Drain
way,
the
the
clock.
only chance he had was the clock and keep the ball away from the K-Gun
Hey,
offense.
put a pin in the clock thing for when we talk about college football, whenever we do,
Okay.
because I want to talk about the pace of offenses.
Pace of
just
offense.
Not today.
Yeah.
To more depth conversation. But just put a pin in that one.
Yep. So you had this great game plan that came up against them. And even in spite of that, you get your dependable, one of the best kickers, Pro Bowl kicker, into a makeable kick, 46 yards. I mean, it's not easy. It's not a gimme, but it's in his wheelhouse. And he misses by a foot,
Yep.
maybe 2 feet. But I think it's so like this. There's just a sliver between the ball and the outside of the goalpost. But he misses it. Next year, they run into an all-time run, just a lightning in a bottle in the Redskins, right? Mark Rippon and that offense that comes out of nowhere and then goes into nowhere after that season, just for that one season.
Yeah, that was an amazing, like
34 points a game. and they lose that. And then I think that was just that first Super Bowl against the Cowboys. And I know, again, it's going to sound ridiculous, but I think that that first Super Bowl is a vastly different game if the Bills are coming in as 2-time defending Super Bowl champs, as opposed to.
Dude, we've never talked about that game on here, but here's my hot take. I think that Cowboys team was better than the '85 Bears.
I mean, at that time, yes, they were loaded. They were loaded.
I mean,
They were loaded
great.
exactly where you want them to be, on the offensive and defensive lines, right?
Yeah.
In the trenches, man, oh man, they had some talent, especially on the offensive line. The holes, and look, those same Bills, they still had Bruce Smith, and it wasn't Ted Washington. It was the previous defensive tackle. They still had a lot of that 91 talent on the defense, but of course it was 2 years older. Darryl Talley was still there. Cornelius Bennett was still there. Nate Odom was still there. But they were all. Kirby Jackson, the old Mississippi State Bulldog, was still there. But they were all a little older. And these guys were all just 22 to 25-year-old, laden with talent. And the holes that they were creating in that Super Bowl for Emmitt Smith to run through, it was just insane. And the pass protection. Look,
I mean, Aikman had all day.
Yeah,
all day to Novacek, to throw to what's his name? Oh, the 88. Oh my gosh,
Michael Irvin.
Yeah, thank you.
Coke Man.
Yeah, that's probably why I said nose for a second.
Yeah.
But I mean, that Cowboys team, because they grew into that team. The Bears were good all year.
Yeah.
But I would take that Cowboys team over the '85 Bears.
I mean, it was a strong team. It was a strong team. And I think your observation is exactly right. They grew into it. They were not as good a team when that season started as they were when they finished the season. But still, it was, I think that game with Jim Kelly having 5 turnovers, Thurman Thomas fumbling the ball. I mean, the Bills made one good play. That was Don Beebe chasing down Leon
Lett. That was a great play.
Right? But outside of that, they came in like a team who had lost the previous 2 Super Bowls, and they never recovered from it. Never did. Now, the second Super Bowl, the fourth one for the Bills, uh, they were up. They were up 13-6 at the half. Thurman Thomas was having a good game. And then it was the lost helmet, right? He couldn't find his helmet
Yeah, no,
coming out of the halftime.
that was that wasn't as dominant as the year before, but it just never seemed like the Bills were going to win that game.
Yeah. Yep. So anyway, sorry, going down memory lane. I don't even know what got me there, but just the fact that trying to win the championship is such an arduous path that some teams end up being very lucky where everything falls right into place, and then those fans seem to think that this was not good fortune at all. This was all skill, right?
Yeah.
So, but speaking of that, the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, what is your read? And I know there's very little. He hasn't played a single preseason game. We're kind of reliant on the news coming out. What is your feel for Patrick Mahomes,
So
even
I
before the injury?
I feel like a coward for saying this. I don't have a feel for the Chiefs right now. I really don't. And it's because I didn't think that Mahomes played poorly last year. Okay, I really didn't. I think that the Chiefs, the cap eventually caught up to the Chiefs last year, and he just didn't have anybody to throw the ball to for a lot of the year, right? You know, Rashee Rice was out. The kid they got at Texas was hurt off and on. Kelsey's lost a step.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't have a running game. His offensive line wasn't that great. I mean, the previous year was kind of a miracle year to get to the Super Bowl for them, and then they were exposed in the process. And I really don't know what to make of the Chiefs this year, because it's an Achilles tendon injury, right? It usually takes 9 months to a year to come back. We're at the front end of that, not the 9.
Yeah.
And mobility is one of the he's not like Tom Brady, where Brady manipulated the pocket and did a great job and very rarely scrambled for actual yards.
He's a deceptive scrambler, or was.
He was deceptive, but his main goal was to not take a hit.
Yeah, no. I'm talking about Mahomes. I was saying.
Mahomes is sneaky.
Yep.
Sneaky quick.
Yeah.
Okay. And he relies on that a lot. His ability to throw off platform, and he's got a great arm, like all that other stuff. Until I can see how he moves when he gets back, I don't have I think the receivers are better. I think the line is better.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's enough better. I just don't Andy Reid's getting up there in years. So his ability to constantly evolve will decline, right? It's just Father Time's undefeated in other areas too.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, look, Kenneth Walker III is a great running back, right? I think sometimes people forget he just went from the
Super Bowl
Seahawks
champs
to the Chiefs. Like, he's a really good running back,
and he's going to help.
He's going to help, right? As long as that offensive line is really improved.
Yeah.
I know this is the coward's way out, but I just don't know until I see him. It's one of those where I can see avenues for success or failure, but I don't have enough data to say which one I think is most likely.
So I see success for them. So you kind of touched on a few things. I see success for them if the offensive line can actually allow Kenneth Walker to not get contacted until at least between 1 to 2 yards beyond the line of scrimmage, right? If his average contact is under 1, he's not going to be able to replicate what he did toward the end of last season. And I emphasize that. Remember, everybody's treating Kenneth Walker as the Kenneth Walker that we saw in the playoffs. Before that run in the playoffs, the regular season, I had him on 3 of my fantasy football leagues because I called him being that running back that takes the leap, and he didn't. Now, some of it was because it was his touchdowns were getting vultured, his touches were getting vultured by Charbonnet.
Yeah.
And then Charbonnet got hurt. But he, even in that split time, he was not running like he did in that playoffs. This was one of those all-time, he got on a roll. It's like, I think I likened it. I was talking to, this was off the air. I don't think I ever mentioned this on the Sports Spotlight. I likened what Kenneth Walker did for the Seahawks to what Dwight Freeney did for the Colts and Peyton Manning that year when they got the gift of Rex Grossman and the Bears in the Super Bowl, right? Freeney just went out of his mind that year. Peyton didn't do much. Peyton had like 4 touchdown passes the whole postseason that year. Dwight Freeney, and then they had the other
the running back. They actually ran the ball really well.
Yeah, but no, on the defensive line they had a second guy. So Dwight Freeney was a big name, and the other guy, and they both just went out of their minds in the playoff run. Just sack after sack, pressure after pressure. And sometimes good players can do that. They can catch fire and get you that run. Because in the NFL, it's just, you just need a run of 3 games, right? I understand it's spread across 3 weeks.
But the Colts were good that year, though.
They were. But
I mean, they were the best team in football that year. Like, I'm not going to throw shade on the Colts for winning, but they were fortunate in who they played.
Yeah. But remember, Larry Johnson was just killing the NFL that year, and then they held him to 30 yards rushing in the playoffs.
Well, look, the Bears went on a turnover tear that year in terms of capitalizing off turnovers.
Yep.
And Devin Hester's return setting them up either for good yardage or actually scoring.
Yep.
And eventually, you can only go to that well so often.
Yep.
And against a good team that was paying attention, right? I mean, the Colts were just better than the Bears.
Yeah. Yep. No, they were. So anyway, all I was saying was people seem to be thinking that the Kenneth Walker that Kansas City has gotten is that player we saw for those 4 games. That was Kenneth Walker at his best. Is he going to have the offensive line support that he did? Because that offensive line and the defensive line for Seattle was also just dominant in the playoffs, right? Is he going to get that play? I don't know. I don't think he's going to. I think his offensive line support is below where it was in the playoffs with the Seahawks.
Seahawks have a great offensive line.
The quarterback is going to be limited. You talked about 9 to 12 months to come back, and it's 18 months before you're truly back, unless you're an absolute stationary quarterback, right? From an ACL tear, unless you're Adrian Peterson, who was a freak like 7 months later, and he's running like the beast that he was. But very, very rare for somebody to come back in such a short time and be the exact same player that he used to be. Oh, and I realized I need to take a break. Right. We are 30 seconds over. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to move the spotlight to international waters. Well, land, not water. You're listening to the Sports Spotlight right here on Radio Azad.
This is Radio Azad, streaming in Dallas, Fort Worth, and all around the world.